With the inherent weaknesses of American politics being horribly exposed by President Trump's refusal to concede after losing to Joe Biden in last week's presidential election, many countries in Africa and the developing world may have been reminded about their long-standing failings with constitutional democracy. Nigeria, for one, continues to carry the baggage of a variant of democracy with its roots firmly anchored in her long history of military rule. Operators of the system appear to be in constant confusion regarding how to place the appurtenances of state power at the disposal of the citizens. Emperor Nero fiddles while Rome burns, goes the old saying, and that might as well describe the relationship between African political leaders and their subjects. Pleasantly, there are those people who are trying to change the narrative.
I am Alero Ayida-Otobo, a transformation strategist. It is time to fix politics. I say this with all sense of purpose and conviction. It is time to take responsibility for our nation. It is time for you and I to do what is right. My conviction is driven by two key factors. The first is my personal experience. After 10 years in banking, I went into the public sector and I worked with 4 ministers. And it was very clear that they fell into 2 categories. The first category were ministers who knew what to do, who were passionate about nation building and changing their sectors. And then you had another category that just wanted to find out what is in it for me. The second reason why I'm so passionate about fixed politics is the evidence that is very clear. Evidence driven by research after a 6-month study and extensive consultation with key stakeholders across the country. It's become very clear that only a 3-pronged approach to fixing politics can work. It is like 3 legs of a tripod. The first is an engaged, educated, and empowered electorate. Electorate that know their rights and they will vote rationally for candidates that will serve them. The second is the strong need to raise a new class of political leaders. Leaders that are ethical, that are competent, and they're capable. They are not in politics because of what they can get, but they're in politics for what they can give. The third leg of the tripod is constitutional and electoral reforms. That is big and that is important. Let me state it very categorically. Fixed politics is not a political party. No, it's a citizen-led movement. It was created by citizens, for citizens, to elevate the office of the citizen. Whether I drive through the streets of Lagos or sit in a leaking canoe on the waters of Delta State, where I am from, the abject poverty in our nation is so glaring. I feel the pain of out-of-school children whose destinies have been truncated by poor execution of educational policies. I'm tired. I have had enough. Truly, it is time to fix politics. And you know what? We have to do it together. I would like to close with a quote that demonstrates why we have to do it together. And that quote is by a woman that I truly admire, Mother Teresa. And she says, I can do things you cannot do. You can do things I cannot do. Together, we can do great things. And that's why you must join us at the public launch of #FixPolitics on Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. Check our social media handles and make sure you register. This is the beginning of an amazing movement, and you need to be a part of it. Don't get left behind. Get ready to move and change our nation, Nigeria. Thank you.
Joining us now is Alero Ayida-Otobo, co-chair, #FixPolitics Work Study Group and interim CEO, Unconventional School of Politics, Policy and Governance. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on this wonderful show. I really appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you, madam. Well, very exciting video there we just watched. I think there is a consensus among Nigerians. I don't know whether there will be any exception, that we need to fix politics in Nigeria because our politics is described as dirty, divisive, all kinds of apprehension about Nigerian politics. And the whole idea is to transform our society, change from the things you have said. But you led a work-study group that sat down together for about 6 months. What are some of your findings about how to fix politics in Nigeria and fix the Nigerian society? And who will do this fixing? Because when you say all of us as Nigerians, these Nigerians are the same Nigerians that are here.
Who will fix? That's a very good question. Let me start with what you said. In the video, if you remember, I said it was a three-pronged approach, like the three legs of a tripod. And the research that was done by Dr. Obiageli-Ezekwesili over a 6-month period clearly demonstrated that if we didn't pay attention to each of the legs of the tripod, what will happen is what we've experienced in previous times. We will start the journey of transformation, but that journey, if we're not careful, will have either minimal impact or it will be stopped. What we are engaging in is ensuring that we empower and educate the electorate, that we place a demand on government because they know what demands, they know what they're entitled to, and they know what demands to make. Then we also need to ensure that as they make those demands, the Constitution has been reformed and strengthened to deliver on the demand, the public goods, the public services that they are placing the demand for. And the people that are going to execute it can't be people with the same mindset, the old mindset, the mindset that I highlighted in the video that says, what is in it for me? And the truth is we have worked, many of us worked in public service, worked in private sector, and there is a new mindset that Nigeria desperately needs to see in governance and among those who govern us. And that mindset is a mindset that is transformational, a mindset that says, I'm here to serve you, a mindset that says, what can I do for you? A mindset that puts aside their own personal agenda and says, we're here to transform the nation. So it's a nation-building mindset. And your question, your second question, who will do this? Again, the research, my personal research and other people's research shows that nations that are transformed by a people that have formed what I call change communities. They have a compelling vision. They have an understanding of what their goals and objectives are. They've defined those goals, they define their initiatives, and then they execute. Where we fall over in Nigeria is that we don't execute, we don't go the extra mile, we don't push to the very end. So change communities, what I call reform communities, like Fix Politics, take responsibility for a nation, they execute well thought out strategic initiatives, and they keep executing till the very end. I could go on and on because I'm so passionate about changing and transforming nations, but it's people like you and I that are fed up, that are tired, and then we have the competence, what we call the 3 C's, character, competence, and capacity. And then they come together to execute the 4th C, which is collaboration. And that's what Fix Politics is about. Character, competence, capacity, and all of us working together, collaborating, and becoming a formidable force that will build the new Nigeria. I'll stop there.
Amen. The first of the 3 prongs speaks of not just voting, but voting rationally. Yeah. I'd like you to expand on that and the way people take their prejudices into the voting booth, as we've seen in Nigeria and as we're currently seeing now with the situation in America.
I'm going to ask you to just repeat that, especially the part about the America, because I want to make sure that I heard properly.
Okay, I said how people take their prejudices into the voting booth in Nigeria and in America is what we're seeing now, playing out in the American elections.
Yes. How they put in their voting...
Their prejudice, the prejudices that they might have.
Oh, The prejudice, oh my word, yes. Can I start with Nigeria before I go to America? Because I'm one of those that, like when we're all getting all passionate about America, I'm thinking, let's fix Nigeria. You know, like, I know we're concerned about America, but honestly, we've got to get it right in Nigeria. And voting our prejudices came through over the last 2 elections. I was away out, not in Nigeria for not the last one, but the one before. And I was sort of very concerned with the way change was happening. But this last election was when I was truly concerned, because I don't want to get political here, but the signs were there. What we're seeing today were the signs that we were seeing in 2019. But we shut our eyes to the signs, and we had people who were saying, let's vote for the lesser of two evils. And the truth was that 2019 was the opportunity to step into the new. It was the opportunity to, for the next generation and our generation to say, it's time for Nigeria to take the stage of development and pushing through to not just national development, but economic development. And we had that opportunity in 2019. And I think I would like to say categorically that we missed that opportunity. And so the prejudice was, let's vote for who we know, for what we're comfortable with. But the truth is, the world is changing globally. The world is changing continentally in Africa. And we did not vote for change. We didn't vote for the next level. We didn't vote for what we need to see. And that what we need to see is the digital age and people who are comfortable with the future of work, people who are comfortable with global change and transformation, people who know what to do. We didn't vote for that. We voted for the old. And so now we have to live with the old. And so the prejudice at that time was the old. And when you now align it with America, I'm very careful with the American politics, because those that are pro-Trump don't allow those that are not for Trump to speak. So I would like to say that let's see how it all unfolds. But clearly, the people who were tired of Trump decided to come out and vote. The people who are pro-Trump were also very determined to keep Trump in place. And so, really, the jury is still out. Which way is it going to go? Trump is not going to fall over. Trump clearly is going to fight because he's a fighter. And we just have to see how it all unfolds. It's very, very sensitive at the moment. So I'm picking my words very carefully, because I don't want to step on too many toes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Darren Acemoglu wrote a book a couple of years back. It called the title, Why Nations Fail. And the first part of the book talks about the reason why nations fail is because their leaders want those nations to fail. If you read further in the first, second, third, fourth chapter, the stories told in the book talked about great empires like Venice and the likes. The recurring decima was that of institutions. Once the institutions started to weaken, once they became poorer, the nations started to fritter away. 2 questions. What's the role of leadership and strong institutions in all of this?
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
The question you asked is the answer. You've answered your own question, and it's a very good question. But the truth is that we do know our answers, and the answer is that we've had poor leadership until now. Leadership is... Let me talk about nations that have strong leadership, and then maybe we can do a comparative analysis. Take, for example, Singapore. If you remember, in 1960, Lee Kuan Yew came to Nigeria, and he came for the Commonwealth Conference. We were holding it in Nigeria, and 4 or 5 days later, we had our first coup. If you read his book, Third World to First World, the first thing he says is that when he got to Nigeria and he looked at our leaders, he knew that we were in trouble. He said very, very, very clearly that the leaders were already demonstrating self-interest, and they didn't have enough understanding of nation building and what it takes to build a nation. He said it. And he said something that if they didn't change over the next 2-3 decades, he fears for what Nigeria will become. That statement is one of those self-fulfilling statements, because 30, 40, 50 years later, just what he predicted is what we are unfortunately witnessing. Now, what is the difference? When he became prime minister, he and his team got on to the podium to take when you take your oath to say we're going to serve the nation, they climbed onto the podium wearing white because they wanted to pass a message that we're going to be leaders of great character, integrity, honesty, all those qualities. And they wore white to symbolize that. This same group, when they went to America, shared rooms because they wanted to save public funds. 2-3 ministers, 3-4 ministers stayed in one room to save funds. At that point in time, Nigeria and Singapore had the same gross domestic product, GDP. We had similar, like I think we were at par at about $2,000 per individual, right? How many years later, 60 years later, they're at $62,000. We're still at $2,500. What he saw came to pass. And it's about leadership, leadership, leadership. And we can't run away from it. And so we need to define what kind of leadership do we need in Nigeria? What kind of leadership do we want to see governing us? And then we have to take what we call the brutal facts. Jim Collins in his book talks about the brutal fact. Face the brutal fact, acknowledge the brutal fact, and say, let's fix what we're seeing. And the brutal fact is, and we've seen it with NSARS, we've seen it. It's there. It's not something that happened 5 years ago. It happened last month on the 20th day of October 2020, Black Tuesday. That is the evidence of failed leadership. And I could go on. The poverty in this nation, when I was listening to myself again, I teared up. I've gone into the villages, the poverty level. And yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my daughters, and we heard the numbers that we've spent, and it was like, she just said, Mommy, where is the evidence of all the money we have spent in infrastructure? Where is it? Where is the evidence of all the money we've spent in that? Where is it? And so the question is, it is about leadership. And the truth is, we've had poor leadership. And the next truth is, we have to fix the leadership. And that's what fixed politics is about. Let's start at the very foundation and raise a new generation. And I'm excited about the next generation. I'm excited about their potential. I'm excited about the possibilities. But what is clear is that you have to be competent and you have to know what to do. So the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance is about equipping and training and making sure that the next political class that emerges know exactly what to do, and they know how to solve the problems of Nigeria. They're not going to be guessing. They will know, and they will do it right. God helping us. Thank you. That's my answer.
Madam, let me ask you. I mean, we can't do all of this at the level of ideas, despite the fact that ideas are important. The people are part of the equation. And I was glad when you talked about poverty. What do you do about that electorate out there that will need to be engaged, that will need to be empowered? The same electorate that will just collect money on election day and just conclude that, well, these politicians, you can't trust them anyway. So how do you build that trust beyond the leadership recruitment strategy that you just talked about?
Excellent question. And we have a lot of initiatives. I'm not going to bore you with the number of initiatives under that work study group. But what is very clear, and we find it interesting, you know how you have something, you're still talking about it, and then even before you finish designing the strategies and the solutions, you can already see change. And that's what we've witnessed with NSARS protests. That's what we witnessed with the end police brutality protest. Some of the initiatives that we were going to execute are already being executed, and that gives us great joy. I want to assure you of that. But what else? One of the things that after tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow is the public launch of hashtag Fix Politics initiative, and that study group that is going to drive engaged, empowered, and educated electorate are going to announce one of their very immediate action steps, and that is we are going to be working with community leaders across the country. And we're going to ensure that they're equipped, they have understanding, and they're going to have responsibility for also training and talking through town hall meetings, engaging the grassroots. This is not about us sitting in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, or let me call my state capital, Warri. It's not about that. It's about ensuring that there's a grassroots bottom-up approach to what we are doing. And we are going to be engaging with strong community role models. And we're just going to make sure that we help them to understand the narrative, and we're going to equip them. We have plans to do that. So the followership are key, and they're already awakened. They just need to be taught and equipped. And we have a lot of plans concerning that. And I hope I've highlighted one where we are going to call for those community role models to stand up, especially the next generation. Thank you.
Madam, although I would have loved to ask you, the public launch tomorrow, is it open to everybody or is strictly by invitation?
No, it's open to everyone. Go to our website, www.fixpolitics.org, and you will see the join on link, and you have to just click and register, and you are welcome. And it's going to be on YouTube. You're going to be able to view it on YouTube channel. But if you want to be part of the webinar, just register, and the numbers are rising. I mean, it's just amazing. And we believe that it's a movement. It's a citizens-led movement. And a lot of the key players and actors that were with NSAS protests are part of this. And it's about us saving the new Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us, Mrs. Ayida-Otobo.